Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and earlier this month we took a look at Crasher, so it would be appropriate to take a look at her rival through the cartoon series. So today we're looking at the Guardian GoBot, Turbo. Turbo would be released in 1984. He was one of the original GoBots, and due to his popularity on the cartoon, he would be available throughout 1985 and 1986. Now, Turbo, unlike Crasher, only has this one toy, so there was no redoing for Turbo, but as you can notice, the head for Turbo is vastly different here on the toy when compared to what we got in the cartoon. But there is some there is one link that ties Turbo to the Transformers. Turbo's voice actor was also the one who voiced Devastator in the Transformer cartoon. So, take that to all you haters. Turbo was always seen throughout the cartoon as being a bit of an impulsive fighter. He was quick to want to blast anything that might be a potential threat before evaluating if it truly was. This was especially seen in their animated feature, Battle of the Rock Lords, as he was ready to blast them the moment they crashed onto Gobatron. And it took a lot of Leader One's persuading to have him hold his fire until they knew and fully understood the situation. Taking a look at Turbo's articulation, like many of the GoBots, it was pretty much limited to the arms. You can rotate his arms all the way around at the shoulder, but since in the cartoon they fired energy bolts from their hands, you could easily position Turbo to be constantly blasting out whatever sort of energy he was always firing. So you have that going for you. You just don't have any way to pop open the doors or whatever to let the humans inside, so that's always a bonus. Okay, now to convert Turbo into his alternate mode, it's pretty simple. All you do is rotate the head, like so, until the hood is out. I mean, you can tell it's out because the head's upside down on the backside. Lower the arms and push them in at the sides. And then push his legs up against his body. And there you have it. Turbo is actually a concept car from the 1970s, since he would have been available in Japan as part of the Machine Robo 600 series. That's where the vast majority of the GoBots came from. They were called the 600 series because they were sold in a little white box that cost 600 yen. So that's where they get their name from, folks. And that's whereabouts where the inspiration would have come from for Turbo. It was obviously on some sort of concept supercar that one of the designers obviously saw, fell in love with, and figured, hey, I can make a robot out of this, and proceeded to do so. The people at Bondi that designed a lot of these things certainly had their work cut out for them. But the one thing that's the nicest about Turbo that can be said about him instead of many of his other compatriots of the same color is you cannot tell the differences easily where the red transitions over from the metal to the plastic. It's not as easy of a feature to tell on this toy, whereas many of the others, they did get a little lazy on the materials, and you could noticeably tell a difference between the red color, between the metal and the plastic. So Turbo here is one of the exceptions to that, as it's very difficult to tell the two materials apart. So hands up for that. That's always a good thing. Now, how well does Turbo roll? Like you'd expect, folks. He rolls across this table very, very good. If we can get him to go straight. And again, these are rubber tires on Turbo. So if you're ever looking for one on the secondary market, you definitely want to check these tires. Check the tires out. They may be cracked or broken. So keep an eye on that. And definitely have a fun little toy here. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Turbo? Turbo certainly was an interesting character, and many of us growing up were definitely fans of that car mode. It just screamed fast, powerful, and just exotic enough to make us send our imaginations into a frenzy. As I certainly remember, many of my chums back in elementary school also had the same thoughts. We all wanted to be Turbo. Or at least, if nothing else, fantasize that we could drive that car someday. Little did we realize how reality would set in for all of us. But at any rate, the way he was presented in the cartoon, he was always the one that was willing to go the distance, but he tended to be a bit on the impulsive side, and that often would get him into trouble, as he was frequently injured on numerous occasions. But at any rate, due to the popularity of the toy and the character himself, he still barely manages to make it into the top tier. He's not quite as memorable as his longtime rival Crasher, but he certainly has held up pretty well over all these years. The toy is still one that's relatively easy to find on the market, and that's always a good thing for collectors. So, yeah, even though the changes to the design of him is different from what they used in the cartoon, I still like this toy, and I still think it's a worthy one for anybody's collection. So we're going to go top tier on this one. And that concludes my review of the Guardian GoBot Turbo. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube and hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. And please also consider leaving your thoughts about Turbo in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.